that note, let's get straight into these stocks. The first one, the biggest, is Shoprite. It's the largest retailer in Sub-Saharan Africa by sales, focusing on discount sales of everyday items. It has a market cap of 121 billion rand, a PE ratio of 20, and a dividend yield of 2.45%. So you were at the Star listing yesterday. They own a big stake in Shoprite.
Yep.
Shoprite has been the resilient, the shining light, the shining star of the lot.
Very good. Yeah. Byron, you're right, and for many, many years. And in fact, go back to my earlier comments about technology. If you go back to the 90s, they had virtually no technology at all. And then, you know, they got this kind of road to Damascus conversion. And they started putting in technology, whether it was in the DCs and the distribution centers, whether it was a point of sale. They just changed dramatically, and it's had a huge impact, a beneficial impact on them. They tend to service, generally speaking, in the Shoprite and one or two other, the U-Saves and stuff like that, the lower end of the market. Checkers, more your kind of middle to upper end. And interesting, if you look at the last set of results, there is this commitment now to try and take on Woolies at their own game, using Checkers. I have my doubts that they'll be able to do that. And coming back to a point I made a few moments ago, because the supplier situation is so difficult, Woolies pretty much has the quality food supply chain tied up. So for these guys to get in, unless they know something that we don't, in terms of getting new suppliers in, I think it's going to be difficult.
So what you mean by that is that Woolies have specific contracts with top-end farmers who promise to give Woolworths the absolute best of the best, and then everyone else, you know, what's left after that.
Yeah.
And if you are a Woolies supplier, it's very lucrative, so you want to stay one.
It's very lucrative, but you can be blown out of the water just like that if you do not adhere to their very strict quality standards. And that is why Woolworths and Marks and Spencer in the UK are virtually indistinguishable in terms of quality. Incredible high quality. You know, Pick n Pay tried it about 10 years ago to get into this similar space, and they failed. They tried very, very hard, and it was a great effort. But again, they fell foul of this this emptiness, if you like, in the supplier space, because a lot of suppliers do not want to supply own brand products. They just don't want to do it.
Well, let's have a look at that share price, and that'll reflect the resilience of the business. As you see there, very solid 2016 compared to other retailers which have had, well, from 2016 all the way up to now, compared to other retailers which have really struggled. And the other thing we haven't touched on is their success throughout the continent. It's been tough, you know, the logistics, the lack of infrastructure, but somehow Shoprite have managed to succeed.
One of the reasons, Byron, I think, is they had first mover advantage. They went into Mozambique in 1995, so they've been there for 22 years. They've understood better how to operate in what is an incredibly difficult environment. I remember some years ago, Whitey Basson, who was the then CEO, is retired now, showing us the main road, one of the main roads in Angola. It was a dirt track, and there was this truck, you know, it was caught in the mud. And he said, this is the kind of thing with which we have to confront. So it's difficult, but they've paid their dues, and they are now in a far better position than most South African retailers, because they know the lie of the land, they know the landscape, and now they're reaping the benefits. And they've managed to tailor-make their exposure to the rest of Africa in a far better way than most other South African retailers, because they know which areas, which jurisdictions will work, which areas won't. I'm not sure whether it was Uganda or Tanzania they left a couple of years ago because they were taking too much strain from the informal traders, for example. So they're not afraid to cut if necessary.
I think they haven't gone short of building those roads themselves, but they do build some of the shopping centres and create that formalised retail infrastructure. Hot or not on Shoprite?
Oh, hot. Love the stock.
I agree. I don't think you can fault them. They've done incredibly well, and you have to back them to continue with their success.